Do you feel embarrassed because you never served? Do you feel shame every Memorial Day? Well, buy a Jeep Gladiator and let's visit the land of make-believe. Remember Willie's? Remember war? Congratulations! You're ready for war! Remember Willie's Overland? They made the Jeep! They won the war again!
No, it was Bantam that made the Jeep, and they won the war again.
War in my headlights, war in my cup holders, war in my startup screen. When war is on a bagel, you can have atrocities anytime. Buy a Jeep Gladiator and prove you are better than everybody who said your small dick is tiny. I thought about dignity in the workplace one time. So I soaked a sponge in hand sanitizer and shoved it up my ass. Clean rectum, clean thoughts.
My shifter is extra chunky, and the position release is red because I'm gonna launch a missile from my Jeep, which is now an F-22. I know everything about an F-22. I love military aircraft. Now, I'm going to tell you my top 5 military aircraft. Number 5, CH-53 Sea Stallion. Number 4, F-8F Bearcat. Number 3, FA-18 Hornet. Number 2, B-25 Mitchell. And number 1, the P-40 Thunderbolt. This is a lovely first date. I'm having a good time. Now I'm going to tell you about my favorite trains.
2021 Jeep Russell Crowe. Don't think truck, think convertible with a bed. Every roof section slightly moves, making a rubbing sound. There isn't much insulation or sound deadening in roof sections, so you'll hear the rain louder than a traditional cab truck. These aggressive tires on the road go like this. Please think convertible, because it is. Just think convertible. Like the TJ Jeep, if you don't expect too much, you won't be let down. The wheelbase is too long to clear humps, so you gotta lift it further. The non-standard bed isn't useful for building materials. But if your Jeep needs are moving boxes, hauling unpowered boats, fishing, meaning coolers of beer, and hunting, you'll be fine. In fact, the owner said to me that the bed of this Gladiator will hold a buck if you fold it in half like a beach towel. Want to take the doors off? Well, it's a modern Jeep. It has power windows and power mirrors, so you have to undo this wiring harness as well. The rubber hood bumpers are still here, so you can still put the windshield down. You'll need tools, but you can lower it. And then when you put the windshield back up, you'll have parts left over. During the shoot, I kept calling this the Renegade. These Jeep flavors are just starting to blend together. Is it ever the car's fault when someone is a jerk? It always feels like there have been two camps. People who blame a person's behavior on the attitudes a car might encourage, and those who understand that a car doesn't make anybody act a certain way, it simply unlocks the ability for them to be more themselves. To put it in a really plain way, that ZL1 didn't encourage you to cut people off all over Route 100, bag of over-salted fries on the passenger seat, and a pair of polarized aviators on a face that don't seem to care that it's 11:30 at night. No, you got the ZL1 because that's the kind of person you always had a mind towards being. You just couldn't go this fast before. The Jeep Gladiator didn't turn you into a person whose personal mission is to make the gym lose as much money on you as possible. A Jeep Gladiator didn't force you to make a pass at her mother, and now you have to update your bodily resume before getting back onto the scene. A Jeep Gladiator is performative excess, like a garbage can pizza or Matthew Lesko's suit. Jeep Gladiator. If a failed public proposal was a car, it's a car that seems in no way certain of itself or its identity. Come reclaim the big dick energy that never existed in the first place. People like to talk about toxic masculinity as a thing that oppresses women. And that's true. It does. But it also messes with dudes' heads. It keeps them emotionally backed up, forced to express themselves in other ways because they don't actually get the chance to address their issues directly. Like that 60-year-old guy, that 60-year-old property-owning, well-off man who stole from Whistle and Diesel. That dude had issues, and he wasn't addressing, and his act of just ripping someone, like trespassing and being a thief, was the result of unprocessed I don't know. That dude needed therapy. I hope he gets it. Jeep Gladiator. It's like having someone eat a bunch of prunes and then saying, "Don't use the bathroom, real men don't need to." It's that self-destructive behavior that says, you can't pee because then you break the seal and then you'll be peeing all night. Dude, you just had 5 beers. Either pee now or get kidney stones later. So instead of just trying to be a good person, instead of just trying to be the best version of what type of dude they are, they get this idea of some sort of arbitrary real man template that they can aspire towards out of a need to compensate for everything they're not, rather than celebrating what they are. Of course, insecurity isn't why the Jeep Gladiator is popular among the people who like it. Although its appeal as a rugged mid-size offering for people who don't want a truck certainly seems like a selling point. On its introduction, this was offered as a mid-size truck equipped for towing and off-roading, and for those purposes, it makes sense. It's not a construction vehicle. Although I sense people are buying these things so they can show up at the job site and not get made fun of. I suspect there's a 0% chance of people who buy Jeeps just to fit in. But as a daily driver, or even as a car for something as frivolous like tailgating, it makes less and less sense as you go along. You have a very uneven highway driving experience relative to other cars in its class. In the midsize pickup truck category, US News ranked the 2020 model in last place, below the Chevy Colorado and even the Nissan Frontier. But for its sales, it actually increased year over year, to where I don't think whatever stigma might attach itself to the Gladiator stuck. On one hand, it had a lot of hype to live up to as America's last manual transmission pickup. On the other, it seems like it still manages to appeal to consumers in such a way that any negatives are overwhelmed by what it actually does offer. Physical or emotional. Yes, I suppose it is. Maneuverable over a variety of terrains. It does have a 4,000-pound towing capacity that can reach as high as 7,650 pounds on the sport trim, and the Wrangler adjacent styling because Jeep knows which side its bread is buttered. In particular, this follows styling cues from the Wrangler JL model, while encouraging nostalgia for the original Gladiator, which lasted from 1962 to 1988. This is Jeep's first pickup since the death of the Comanche in 1992. So in a way, this vehicle is long overdue. The standard V6 engine, there's nothing to care about. I don't give a crap. It's a 3.6 liter, 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. I feel none of that, and I wish this was a 6-speed manual, but this is the more expensive automatic option. It's $2,000 more, and you get 8 speeds. You'll find no judgment here, I suppose. Odds are if you're getting a Jeep Gladiator, you're good for the money. And the automatic transmission is the only way to get the 3-liter turbo diesel. That's also a V6 and it makes 260 horsepower, but a healthy 442 pound-feet of torque. Granted, this engine is also an extra $4,000, so it's definitely going to make your wallet throb. Jeep Gladiator, for a husband whose favorite pastime is imagining arguments he can win. Jeep Gladiator, for the wife who says, "You will address me by my husband's rank." His wife saw the phrase, "If I'm too much, then go find less," printed on a shirt, and now it's the only comeback she ever uses. The Jeep brand remains organized under an identity of passive aggression, that you can be viewed as an adventurous, bold personality while simultaneously not having to do much to live up to it. But then why should you? To find your personality contextualized in terms of your car and a brand's history of suburban adventure is to discover the oppression of the self. No one who sees you driving a Jeep product actually expects you to spend your weekends off-roading or camping beneath a communion wafer moon. Just as no one who sees you in this truck will expect you to be aggressive about how you handle it. A car is nothing more than what you bring to it, so bring something worth leaving behind.
Look, I'm not going to say that my Christmas was perfect, but my girlfriend is vowing to make me an AMC shirt with her cricket. What's a cricket? Very good question. Happy New Year, everyone.